When you are ready to begin your lab, you're going to go through this tutorial. I'm actually going to skip through the tutorial because I went through a little bit of it already in that first video. However, I'm going to go ahead and begin the lab, and I'm going to choose my gloves. And once that is loaded, I'm going to go ahead and start. On part A, it does have you go through that tutorial, click the home button to reset the lab, and then begin the lab. And then it says to continue with part B. Remember, we are skipping part B. So part B is not going to be done. That was with these guys here and with milk, and we're not going to be covering that. So I'm going to skip to part C. Part C, question starts with number 1. It says to mince the egg. How you're going to do that is you're just going to put your glove down here on the egg, and you're just going to click on it, and it's going to mince it all up for you. It's going to crush it up. Once it's minced, it says using the spoon, place 1 spoonful of egg into each of the 6 test tubes in the rack on the right side of the lab bench. So I'm going to grab the spoon just by clicking on it, and then I'm going to click on the egg. It's going to fill the spoon, and see that red thing? That'll say that you can't do anything if your spoon is there, so you have to look, and where it has no red thing, I'm going to click on that. It's going to fill it up with egg. I'm going to fill all of these with egg. And then, once I'm done with that, I am now going to put my spoon back down. I'm going to fill each test tube with the dropper of each solution. Now remember, in the lab instructions, we crossed out that 2.5 milliliters because we're going to use what the chart tells us. So that chart is telling me in test tube number 1, I am going to put 10 milliliters of water into test number 1. So I have my protein and water in test tube number 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the graduated cylinder. I'm going to grab the pipette that says water. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to fill it up, put the water in, and I actually have to fill this up 4 times with the pipette because I need to have 10 milliliters. So if you look at my graduated cylinder, I see that 10 right here, and the water is filled up. So I'm going to grab my graduated cylinder, and I'm going to click to pour it in. I'm now going to go to test tube number 2. Test tube number 2 says 10 milliliters of pepsin. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to find my pepsin solution. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to fill my pepsin solution. And this is the annoying part because you have to put it back and then click on it again. And this is also 10 milliliters, so I should have now 10 milliliters. I'm going to put that in my test tube. This time, you're going to want to rinse out your graduated cylinder. You do not want to mix solution, so you have to bring it all the way over here and dump it, clean it out. To actually say that it's clean, you actually have to, come on, move the lab and be able to put it over here. I had it where I can put it. There we go. Put it down, say that it's clean, and then pick it back up. And then you can bring it back over here, set it down, and you can move on. So I've already done my water. I've already done my pepsin. I now need to do hydrochloric acid. Here's my hydrochloric acid. This also is 10 milliliters. filling that up all the way to 10 milliliters. And I am going to go like this, pour it in, have to rinse it all the way out, rinsing it out. Once it's rinsed out, I have to put it down to say that it's rinsed, and then pick it back up. Put it down here, and now my next solution is sodium bicarbonate. This is sodium bicarbonate over here. This is also going to be 10 milliliters. Gonna pour that in. Rinse it out. Put it down, say it's a clean, pick it back up, put it down, and you're gonna notice I'm changing my solutions. This time in test tube 5, I am mixing pepsin and sodium bicarbonate. So pepsin, I'm going to do 5 milliliters for this one. So this time I'm only doing 2 squirts. And then sodium bicarbonate, putting that in test tube number 5. And then going to pour that out, put it down, and pick it back up, put it down. And my last test tube is going to have pepsin with hydrochloric acid. So I'm going to put my pepsin in first. This is also 5 milliliters. So I'm going to fill it to the 5. Hydrochloric acid fills to the 10 because I'm also putting 5 in. So 5 plus 5 obviously is 10. Little math skills right there for you. And then I'm going to pour that in and I'm going to rinse it out. And I'm just going to leave that right here and go back here. Now, to get our solutions to work here, I'm going to stir these up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that on. Once I use it, I put it back here. And I'm going to do that with all of my solutions. So what you didn't see me do was all 6 of those test tubes have now been stirred up. So now I can move on to my next step. Step number 4 says using the forceps, pick up a pH test strip and determine the pH for each protein test tube. Record your results in the protein data table. You're going to actually record your results on your lab sheet. So over here, you're going to see forceps, which is basically like tweezers. I'm going to pick those up. I'm going to pick up a test strip. I'm going to bring it all the way over here and I'm going to click on it. It's going to give me a color. Sometimes you'll see a change, sometimes you won't. You're going to figure out what that pH is based on that color. Once you figure that out, you can put it up on the test board here so you can determine those colors. I'm going to do just one more, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to put it in my pepsin, and I clicked on it. I'm going to determine that color and put it up here. And I was waiting for that change to show you that we're going to get a change on some of these. So you're going to want to look and you're going to use your best judgment of where this is going to fit. And then once you have figured it out, you just click to put it onto the board. You're going to do that with all 6 of them. Then what you're going to do is once you have figured out those pH levels, so the number on that pH, On your lab report, it says acid, base, or neutral. You are going to tell me what that is, whether it is an acid, base, or a neutral. Okay? Now what you're going to do, you're going to put your forceps back down somewhere, right there, and you're going to come back over here, and you are going to pick up these stoppers, and you're going to place them on your test tubes because we have finished setting up our lab, and now we have to wait for 2 days, so 48 hours, to be able to get the rest of our results. Okay. So it says place stopper on all tops of the tubes. Once all the test tubes have been covered, you're going to click the start button. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click the start, and it's going to give me a code. I would suggest highlighting this code, copying, pasting, and then putting it in your lab report so you can easily find it again. And then it says after 48 hours, you can use that to get back into your lab. So I'm going to copy and paste that, and I'm going to put it in my lab report. I'm going to probably put it right underneath the instructions here so I have it. And then once I'm done, I'm going to press OK. And I am done. I can click out of that lab, and I have to wait 2 days. Now that I have waited my 2 days, I can go back into my lab. I can click on this human digestive lab. So I'm at lab human digestion actions 2, 3.15. I go back into my lab, and I can begin the lab again, but I'm going to enter that code right here. So now that I've entered that code, I'm going to press enter code. It's going to give me the options of choosing my gloves again. It'll load my activity, and I'll say start. And you will notice that it took me exactly to where I left off. I have now my lab that shows some digestion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that information, or what I see here, and I'm going to start comparing those results by looking at these questions. Which test tube is the control, and how do I know? Rank those test tubes on the greatest amount of digestion and least amount of digestion. Compare the contents of test tube 2, 5, and 6. Compare the contents of 3, 5, and 7. Make sure you answer both questions. It says which test tube has the most protein breakdown, and explain how they are different from each other. That is the same question, but you're just looking at different test tubes. And then in which test tube was the activity most like the real human stomach, and why? You're going to be able to answer those questions if you read that lab in the background on that lab. These results are very, very skewed results. So please don't use these results because this has been over a week from this lab. So make sure you get in there on time, about 48 hours, at least 2 days. It actually has to be 2 days, 48 hours, or it won't let you back in. However, don't go more than over maybe 2.5 days. And if you do, you'll get skewed results. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I would love to help you out, or come to that help session so that I can walk you through it all together. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy doing this lab.